Hello, my name is Paul Jegede. So I recently started working for RDF. My background is as a sports rehabilitator, but I have some history in basketball, I have some history in volleyball as well. So what I'm going to be doing with the team is just looking at some general conditioning of like the joints. Going to look at some flexibility. Going to look at warm-ups also, and then just some sport-specific exercise which is going to help the athletes benefit from these sessions. So we're splitting it into 2 sessions. So there's going to be under 12s to under 14 session and under 16 to under 18 session. So I hope you lot enjoy, and let's get ready. Okay guys, so for the warm-up we are going to start off by increasing your heart rate. So what we want to do is, this can be anything. So if you have a skipping rope handy, that will be perfect, be ideal. So it can either be skipping, we can do some jogging, we can just do some like squat jumps, mountain climbers, anything that you find raises your heart rate. So what we're going to do, so we're just going to start with 3 minutes of some heart raising exercises. So whether this is going to be skipping or not, if you're unable to do it for 3 minutes straight, then we can break it into intervals. So do a minute of high intensity, then do 30 seconds of medium intensity, back to a minute of high intensity, and then 30 seconds medium again. So it's going to start with some skipping. So there's different variations. We can do skipping, we can do double leg, high knees, and if you're really skilled, you can add some doubles into it as well. I'm aware that not everyone might have a skipping rope, so what we can do instead, there's 2 other exercises that we can do. So we can do some star jumps, or we can do some high knees. And so let me just demonstrate what they're going to look like. So star jump, start with your hands by your sides and out. And then the other exercise that we can be doing is high knees. So I'm gonna stand, feet roughly shoulder width apart, and it's, you really wanna make sure you're bringing your knees up. Make sure you're not letting your trunk fall forwards like that, keeping your body nice and upright. The next exercise that we're going to be doing, which is also going to help raise your heart rate, is going to be foot fire. So you lot might be familiar about this from practice. I'm sure your coaches must have gone through this with you, but I'm going to demonstrate it for you. So what we're going to do, feet roughly shoulder width apart. We're going to get into kind of quarter squat position, hands out as if you're playing defense, and on your toes as fast as you can. You want to keep your chest nice and high. So again, you're not going to be falling forwards like this. You're not going to put the pressure on your back, so you keep it nice and upright. So this is going to be done for a minute, so get ready and wait for the timer. So the next part of our session is just going to look at a bit of dynamic stretching. So this is just to help with mobility and just prepare the body for the session that we have planned for later on. So I'm just going to go through just a couple of general stretches that we're going to be doing, but further on in the session there is going to be a flexibility aspect to it. So what we're going to be doing at first is I just want to start with some sweepers. So this is focusing on the hamstrings. So gonna have one foot forwards, gonna go nice to low and sweep. Nice to low and sweep.
On the side, on the other side, and then...
So the leg at the back can have a slight bend in it, but it's the foot at the front you want completely straight. And with your hands facing forwards, you wanna try to sweep as low as you can and bring it back up. So the next stretch we're going to be looking at is going to be focusing on our quads and our hip flexors. So this is really important in basketball as you use your legs for a range of different movements. So for this movement, the first variation is opposite hand to opposite leg. So left hand to right foot, right hand up, and as you pull your leg backwards, you reach up. So I'm going to show you this from a side profile. So opposite hand, opposite foot, right arm, and as you bring this foot out like that, you stretch as high as you can. So the other variation to this is a scorpion stretch. So it's going to be same hand to same leg, and this is a harder variation than the stretch before. Same hand to same leg, reach up, and what I want you to do is I want you to try reach down towards your toes. So this adds a little bit of hamstring into it, but it really focuses on your quads and your hip flexors. Okay guys, so for the next exercise on stretch, we're gonna need something. It could be a lamp post, it can be a wall, anything that you can just kind of balance your body on whilst you're doing this movement. So this is gonna start looking towards your adductors and also your groin and just like your hip mobility in general. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to hold onto the pole, and then there's two ways we're going to do this. So we're going to do it once facing either the wall or the pole, any object that you're holding onto, and then the other side we're going to be parallel to it, so our side towards it. So to begin with, I'll start parallel with it. So I'm going to stand, and then what I want you to do is imagine your leg is like a pendulum. So you're going to swing your leg forwards and back. You're going to try to go as high as you can. Either way. And then we're going to change and do the same on the opposite leg. The second variation is when we are facing the pole. So you are going to have both hands or legs on, and then you're going to swing across your body, making sure you're really opening up your hip. And we're going to do this on both legs. So a tip is when you're swinging your leg out, you're really making sure you're relaxing and trying to open up that hip as wide as it can go, and then you're going to swing all the way back through. The final stretch that we're going to be doing is going to be focusing on the calf. So this is just to get a bit of movement and mobility through your gastroc and soleus. So the movement we're going to be doing is you can find a bed, a chair, a table, even a wall. And then what we're going to be doing, you're going to have both hands pressed on it, and you're going to be feet next to each other like this. As one foot is up, the other one's down. And we're going through our movement back and forth. Really want to make sure you're pushing your heels down to the floor to get that stretch up your calf. Okay guys, welcome to another session. So today we're mostly going to be looking at more lumbar stability, hip mobility, and just making sure that you're mobile in sport anyway. So first exercise we're going to start with is called a cat-cow. So in this you're going to be on all fours, and then all you're going to be doing is you're going to be mobilizing your spine up and down, just working on the curves in your spine. So it's as follows. Okay, so in this, you're going to start with your hands directly underneath your shoulders and your knees directly underneath your hips. And what you want to do is, when you are pushing your back up, you really want to try and tuck your tailbone under. So you really want to bring that all the way in, and then as you let your spine get into a curved position, you really want to push your glutes out so you get a nice dip in your lower back. So you should start to feel a stretch around like your mid to lower back. And then if you want to feel it more to the upper back, make sure you kind of shrug your shoulders a bit more. Okay guys, so the next exercise that we're going to be doing is called dead bugs. For this one, you're going to be laying on your back like a dead bug. So pretty much you're going to have your knees bent at 90 and your hands up. What you're going to do is opposite knees, opposite arms, and you're going to extend out, and I'll demonstrate. So you want to lay flat on your back. You want to make sure your back is flat on the floor, knees up. Like this, as your left knee goes down, your right arm goes down. Okay, so in this exercise, you really want to make sure you're keeping your back flat to the floor, so you don't want to have an arch in your back when you're laying on the floor. You want to really keep it flat to the floor and engage that core. So, as you're moving the opposite limbs, what you want to do is you want to try to stabilize the other one, so you don't want the other one to be moving around. You want to try to keep that in a fixed position. It's a slow and controlled movement as your arm extends all the way up and your leg extends out. You want to try to avoid rotation of the body, so you don't want your body to be rotating one way. You want to try and keep in that midline. And that's it for the coaching tips for the dead bugs. Okay guys, so the next exercise that we're going to be doing is bird dog. So this is the same starting position as we did with cat cow, so hands and knees, and I will demonstrate what you're going to be doing. So this is also to help with core stability and also lumbar mobility and hip mobility. So what we're going to be doing is take position, hands and knees directly underneath the hip. You want to find that midline of your spine. So what you're going to do is you're going to rotate all the way up, you're going to rotate all the way down, and you're going to try to find that middle line. You want to try to hold there. All you're going to do is opposite hand to opposite leg again. So right arm out, left foot kicks out. So if this variation is a bit easy for you, variation you can do which will challenge a bit more rotation is you're going to touch your knee to your elbow first, and then you're going to extend all the way out. Touch your knee to your elbow, and then extend all the way out. Coaching tips for this one, it's really important that you try to keep your body in that midline. You're not going to rock one way. You're going to try to keep your body nice and flat. Engaging your core into that midline point is just going to help with the neutral spine to move out. And then finally, when you're extending your legs and arms outwards, you don't want them to be extended going out of your midline. You want to keep them directly straight. Keep your foot flat as if you're like kicking the wall behind you and you're pushing the wall out in front of you. Okay, so the final exercise that we're going to be doing is going to be glute bridges. So this is just to activate your glutes. Your glutes are used all throughout basketball, running, jumping, cutting, everything you do uses your glutes in basketball. So what we're going to do is just going to make sure that they're activated correctly, and by doing glute bridges, this is going to help with activation and strengthening of the muscle. So what we're going to be doing, you're going to be laying on your back. You're going to bring your knees We're gonna bring your feet roughly like just underneath your knee. Hands flat on the floor. And what I want you to do is imagine there's a rope going from your belly button up to the ceiling. Imagine that rope is pulling you up. So just gonna bring your hips up. Make sure you're squeezing your glutes when you get to the top. You're gonna squeeze for 3 seconds, and then it's a slow lowering. And you're gonna come back up, squeeze the glutes all the way at the top. For those that find the bilateral glute bridge too easy, you can add a variation to this, which is going to be a unilateral glute bridge, which is on a single leg. So, as demonstrated, really making sure you're squeezing that glute at the top and lower it down. Do it one more time. For coaching tips, I really want you to make sure that you're squeezing your glutes at the top. So you're really going to contract the glutes at the top. Keep those hips pushed forwards. You don't want them to sink inwards. And you want to try to keep your spine in a neutral position. So you don't want to be overly extended. You don't want to be flexed as well. So you want to try and find that midline. And then it's a slow and controlled movement up. So I want you to keep your feet flat on the floor so you don't want to go up onto your toes, and then hands flat to stabilize yourself as well to prevent any anti-rotation into the movement. Okay guys, so now that we've done our activation and then just a bit of strengthening, now we're going to be looking at our hip mobility. It's very important for hip mobility, as it's important in movement. If you've got really tight hips, having restrictions in running, jumping could have an effect on your game. So what we're going to be doing is we're just going to go through a quick sequence of some stretches and some mobility. That's just going to help benefit you. You can be doing this twice a week, 3 times a week, just if it benefits you, and will be as follows. So what we're going to start with is lumbar cat-cow. So the exercise we did before, but we're going to be focusing really on the lumbar spine. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into that heel position again, but instead of having the hands on the floor like this, we're going to have our forearms down, our heads in our hands like that. What we're going to do is at that lower back, really push up and curl. You really want to hold your head just so that it's not really working the upper back. You really want to work on the lumbar spine. As if you have a tight lumbar spine, it can affect your hips as well. The coaching tips for that one is you really want to try and extend out as much as you can. You want to push your glutes out, and then as you're coming back up, you really want to try and pull that lower back up to the ceiling as high as you can. We're going to be doing 10 repetitions of this, 10 plus. So if 10 is all right for you and you feel that's fine, but if you have a bit more time, you can add on, and it will also benefit you in just loosening off that lower back. So the next one that we are going to be doing is hip circles. So in this one, we're going to have our feet roughly a little bit wider than our shoulders. So this is just to work on the actual joint capsule. So we're just going to be working our way all the way around the joint capsule in both directions. So feet just wider than shoulder, apart, hands on hips, and it's a nice and big circle. So we're going to go out to the side, all the way forwards, push all the way back. So you're just working that whole joint capsule. So if you go to this side, you start to feel it. From this side, nice big circles. So we're going to do it one way, and then we're also going to do it in the opposite direction, just so you can really open up that kind of capsule. On to the next one. What we're going to be doing is, this is to stretch your hip flexors. So hip flexors, that's going to be your quad muscles. So the muscles that flex your hips up. So the quads extend your knee and they flex your hip. So what we're going to be doing is just put stretch on these muscles, just to help if there's any restrictions. So what we're going to be doing is going to get into a knee and lunge position. So your knee over your ankle, like that. We're going to go forwards. And you're really making sure, so you're going to keep your chest upright. So you're really making sure you're getting that stretch on the front of that extended leg there. So you want to go all the way forwards, and then we're going back. Forwards, and we're actively pushing ourselves back. So to push yourself back, imagine you're pushing your knee into the floor, and this is just going to drive you back into that position. What I don't want to see is a flex back or even an overextended back like that. So we're going to keep upright and neutral. We're going to go forwards, really feel that stretch there. So what we're going to be doing is 10 plus. On that last repetition that we're going to be doing, I want you to hold that last one for 10 seconds. So however you count 10 seconds, we count it in Mississippis or thousands. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and actively bring back. And then we're going to do the exact same thing on the other leg. Okay, so for this one, this is the dynamic hip adductor stretch. So we're going to be stretching the adductors, which is the muscles that run along the inside of your leg. So I'll show you from a frontal point of view, then I'll also show you from a side point of view. So what we're going to be doing is going to go down to one knee, the other leg is going to go out backwards. What I want you to do, you have your hands on the floor, and you're just going to lean backwards into it. All the way back, and then back forwards. From a side profile, it's going to look like so you're really making sure you're sitting back, and you should feel that stretch along the inside of your thigh. This exercise that we're going to be doing is going to work on just like the control of your actual hips. So we're going to be hurdling over the side. So it's just going to start to open up the side of your hips. So what we're going to do, just going to get into that cat-cow position again. And what I want to do, just going to bring that leg out. So you're going to kick it back. You're going to rotate your hip, bring it over and back. So the size of the circle doesn't matter at first. So what we want to do is, if you find it really hard, we're going to start with smaller circles at first. So it'll be more so like that. Rotate your hip. Here you go. Kick it back. Rotate the hip. Over and back. Once you find it easier, you can start going with bigger circles. So really extending up, really rotating that hip outwards and up. So we're going to be doing this on both sides. So imagine there's like a hurdle that you're trying to get your hip over. The final one, something I like to call squat openers. So imagine like checking the bottom of your shoe for anything. So what we're going to do is you're going to get into a nice deep squat. If you're really struggling with this, you can find the wall to kind of help with your balance. But what you're going to do, you're going to get into a nice deep squat like this. Put your hands on the floor if it helps. And then all you're going to be doing is just going to rotate so you can kind of see the underside of your leg. You really want to make sure that you're pushing your knees outwards. So I'm going to be in this position, push that knee out, and bring it back in. Push that knee out, and bring it back in. This is really going to start to open up the insides of your hip complex as well. That's the end of the hip mobility exercises. So if you struggle with it, try to do this maybe twice a week, and then you'll start to realize improvements. You can even do this like for a second set, third set if you really want to work on your hip mobility. If you have any questions about any of the exercises, feel free to contact us and we can help out. Hope you'll enjoy the session today. Yeah, have a nice week, guys.